guys, welcome to Wildgate. This was the next game that we played because we had server downtime in Dune Awakening, so there's another game to come in. And I'm not sure if the devs were watching or what happened, but we got a phone call, essentially, or a DM or whatever, to Nupss midway through our day that was like, oh, dude, Mike's free. Like, can we get Wildgate out there? Because it's currently in open beta. So you can just go and play it and have fun with it. So this game is available on Steam right now for you to go and dunk into if you want to play it over the weekend or whatever. I'm not sure how long it's open for. And it's also by some ex-Blizzard devs. So very similar to what I've done on other ex-Blizzard dev projects. So, you know, the Magic Castle stuff that I've been working on behind the scenes. I'm always curious to see what the guys have come up with after moving to their own umbrella, especially after like Expedition 33 with them moving away from Ubisoft and like the joy they've created over there. I'm super into seeing what happens when this corporate umbrella is like moved away a little bit and the guys can express their freedom. So Wildgate is that. What is Wildgate? Wildgate, I had heard nothing about this. I knew nothing. They just literally were like, yo, go check out Wildgate. This is another game that's in the big genre of team sort of hero battlers. But every one of these has a new twist where they're like, imagine if we had the hero battler, but the hero shooter, but we also like had this element to it. And one of the big incorporations here is much more PvE to go along with it, and definitely some tactical team-based stuff. This game is from we played for like a couple of hours, right? And it was they did sponsor us to do it, but it was like I said, it was on the day. They were like, oh, Mike's got some free time, let's go. It was very apparent very, very quickly that this is definitely designed to be played with friends. It's about coordination. Now, personally, this isn't shilling or anything, but a lot more games are going in that direction over the last 5 years where they're just absolutely designed from the ground up to be played with regular friends. I think the industry is moving in that direction where it's less and less. It's not dead. It's not gone completely, but less and less common that you haven't got somebody or at least a couple of people that you can play with. There's more and more games coming out that are fundamentally designed from the ground up that you're going to be playing with people rather than solo queuing lobbies, right? Night Rain would be the most recent example of that, right? Night Rain built from the ground up to be played 3-player, and they fully expect you to do that. People are playing solo. I'm not saying that's completely gone or anything like that, but there's a lot more games that are taking that risk of like, we kind of want you to know at least a couple of people who are going to play with this. We'll see how that plays out. It could be a marketing campaign to like, hopefully we sell 3 copies instead of 2, you know, or instead of 1. That could be an angle as well. But there's a lot more games chancing their arm. And this is no different. Like, I can imagine, depending on how the MMR works, if you're not sure what that means, it's like assesses your record in the game and decides who you should be playing against. That's essentially what it is, right? If you've like won every single game in a coordinated team and you just blast everybody, you should be playing against other players who are in a similar boat, so you have a competitive match. If you lose all the time and you barely do any damage, like, you should be playing in a game with similar people who are just starting the game and they're getting to grips with it as well. That's the idea. So depending on how that works, I am curious to see what will happen as if you're playing an even reasonably organized team, you're going to get your butt kicked here very, very quickly. And the reason for that is because this game is a mix of like Overwatch plus Sea of Thieves is the best way I could describe it to you, which is really interesting because we started to get a grip after that first couple of hours of how things started to work and assigning jobs out, which is what you do in Sea of Thieves PvP, is you can't have scattered chicken attack when things start going wrong. So let me take you through a game. So you're going, the main game mode is 20 players. That is 5 ships of 4 players. So 5 spaceships will arrive in a big arena out in space, and you have pilots, you have people who can control probes, you have gun turrets on your ship, you have processing reactors, all this kind of stuff is within your ship in a very Sea of Thieves style. There's all these different elements exist within the ship. And what you'll have is a bunch of PvE locations. So it'd be an old space station, an old giant robot, maybe a big archival structure that has various cannon fodder enemies, and some of them have like actual boss fights in there. We found an archive key and went to the archive, unlocked that, and did like essentially a worm boss fight, which gave us a very powerful upgrade for dealing with that. And obviously you've parked your ship outside, so at that point you lose by your ship being destroyed. So you have that risk element of your team going in to deal with the PvE environment. you abandon your ship. Now, one of the greatest tools they've added into the game is no matter where you are in the map, if you decided to, because you can while your pilot is taking you somewhere, I did this a lot. I didn't really have a task to do then, so we generally had Chris out probing the area. Nupss was flying the ship. So what I did, and Kayvon and Yusha that we were playing with alternatively, is open the door, and I just went out into space to go and collect some resources, because you can mine. There are like ice... There's like these big ice sort of structures floating around in space and these other like fuel rocks. And you can mine those, bring the resource back to your ship and put that into like storage because the ice cools down and heals cools the reactor and heals the ship. So if we're under attack, we can heal the ship more because we've got more resource. And the purple stuff upgrades your afterburners to allow more maneuverability of your ship. So I would go out and do that. And one of the greatest things they've done is no matter where you are in the map, at any time with 0 cooldown, you can hold down one button and you will immediately teleport back to your ship. So if you were in a PvE environment and you're fighting it or you're collecting loot or whatever, and suddenly you hear your ship's under attack, all of the team can be just right back on the ship immediately to deal with it. You're not like, oh my God, you know that strategy of like watching a ship from afar? Maybe you've got a probe that's watching them. It's like, okay, they've just engaged with all of them have got off the ship. Now we'll go and blow up the ship while it's AFK. No, because the whole team will be back on the ship immediately and back in control. So that's the big element of it. And the general idea is that risk reward. You have the start of the game where you're going to go and PvE and you'll then get a big loot room. And this will have a whole variety of stuff in it. It might upgrade the ship's gun turrets. It might upgrade their shielding. But you also get other elements, such as like mobile bombs and thrusters that you can attach to the enemy ship, which once you activate them, it will push their ship and outmaneuver them. This is really crucial because the way shields work on the ship is they're like a hexagonal beehive type fashion. You could break through individual portions of the shield rather than attack the shield and the shield goes down, meaning you could put gunfire through that hole. So the shield will still be up, but you've penetrated and punctured the shield. That allows pilots to maneuver the ship to turn the shields so you're not just wide open. So you have that combat element that's going on there. And that also allows the fact that, depending on your ship, your gun turrets might be fore and aft. What if you came in at the side? Like, their turrets literally can't target you. So this is what I was talking about, the chicken thing. Once you start getting under attack and you in a very Sea of Thieves style, parts of the ship are burning, some of the glass might be broken, so you're losing oxygen. You can run around and repair that, but what you don't want is like the whole team to run off and do that, because the other team's just going to be pummeling you. You want someone piloting. You want someone firing back to cause damage to their ship. You want that going on. At the same time, like I said with the mining, you can go out of your ship. This happened to us a lot, is they had a designated person who would literally travel to the enemy ship, break in. You got to be careful to keep your doors closed. Break into the ship and start attacking from within. And you had to deal with that element as well. Especially now you've got heroes. Some of them are better in melee. There was a guy, I was very confused. This guy like killed me twice. Seemingly was like, I just got one shot. Like, what the hell is going on? And I was like, maybe he's got like a really powerful gun he got from the loot thing. No, they'd chosen a hero who was more apt to boarding. He had slightly higher base HP and his melee was very strong. So he was running around meleeing me and I didn't have access to that character yet. So I was like, oh, yeah, well, that's really smart. That's really smart. And another guy, they pummeled the ship and it actually broke the glass above the piloting station. So the guy stood on top of our ship and was shooting down onto Nupss, who was piloting. He's like, where am I getting shot from? And the guy was on the roof of the ship, like outside the ship, stood on the ship, shooting down. So you've got all these different elements happening, which is where you want organization. So within the first, like, half an hour, we were like, okay, if we get under attack, what we'll do is we'll have, like, Chris working gun turrets to pummel the enemy, Nupss stay on piloting, me and Kayvon, or me and Yusha will, like, put out fires and defend the ship, and with opportunity both mount gun turrets so we can fire back, make sure the ship is taken care of, look out for intruders, things like that. And you can get warnings and stuff. You can upgrade, so it's like, okay, there's an enemy on board, or ship has been infiltrated. All these kind of elements are so important to this game. It has potential. The biggest drawback that for some people will be is like, okay, I kind of need friends to play with. It's very early. The whole purpose of this beta was to give feedback. I don't know what they want on it. And we don't know yet what the business model is going to be. I will say it was very interesting. There was no store, no MTX in it so far. Okay. Which means I think they want you to buy the game and everything will be in there. As it's got right now, it's got very similar to Helldivers. It's got the same sort of reward track where it'll show you a bunch of different tracks that you can go on that your experience will contribute to. And it shows you what's in there. So if you're looking for a certain character, which were very early in the track, it was like level 1 for most of them. It's like you'll click that reward track to get that character, and then you're going to move between them depending on what you want. There's obviously unlocking skins and cosmetics along the way, but if you really want, say, access to better grenades, or a different type of grenade is more realistically the answer, is you'll go down that reward track. Something to keep an eye on, for sure. Something to keep an eye on. If you have got that like Night Rain style crew, or you Sea of Thieves style crew that you like to play these games with, we'll keep a watch on it. This is very early, and it's an open beta. Well worth checking out. So, interesting, fun experience. We did, quote-unquote, win within the first couple of hours, when we started getting organized, which was nice to see that progress. However, it turns out that they were clever. They had managed to unlock a melee ram with their shield, with their ship, where as long as it was very close to our ship, it would continuously channel damage into us. And as we blew them up, the ram took us down. And the winner of the round was actually the environment. F. Big sadness. But Wildgate, another one we tried. Check it out. Maybe.